Have you ever had one of those brilliant ideas? A vision you just knew could really change things.
Oh, yeah.
But then you hit that wall, right? The daunting task of actually bringing it to life.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one thing to have the idea, but it's quite another to present it so effectively that people don't just get it, but they really believe in it.
Absolutely. And then there's the money side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That deeper challenge of navigating the very real financial stuff that comes with launching something new. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing a focused exploration, looking at a curated stack of insights on entrepreneurial project presentation skills and, crucially, financial preparedness.
Yeah, the goal is to give you, our listener, that vital shortcut.
Right, to being truly well-informed on these absolutely critical topics,
Yeah.
helping turn maybe an abstract idea you have into something tangible, something viable.
That's right. Our mission today is really to dig into this material, pull out those essential nuggets of knowledge.
Yeah.
We want to show you not just what makes a project presentation successful, but maybe why certain approaches work. And, critically, how to avoid some common pitfalls.
Yeah.
Then we'll pivot to understanding and hopefully navigating the often, let's face it, challenging financial landscape of starting something new. It's all about helping you grasp what really matters here for your own journey.
Okay, let's unpack this then. When it comes to standing up, presenting your vision, your entrepreneurial idea, what are the absolute foundations, the non-negotiables for a presentation that actually lands with people?
It's interesting, because many people think presenting is just talking.
Mm.
But our sources really emphasize it's a profound skill.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just sharing info. It's about convincing, influencing, maybe even captivating your audience. And there are a few core conditions that really underpin success.
Like what?
Well, first, and maybe the most critical, is nailing your audience's needs.
Okay.
And think of it less as just understanding them and more like empathizing.
Mm.
What are their unspoken fears, their biggest hopes, the challenges they face, right? When you tap into that, your information doesn't just get heard, it resonates, it drives real interaction. And building on that, the next foundation is your preparation. This isn't just knowing your stuff. It's rehearsing how you'll interact, how you'll anticipate questions, manage the flow.
Got it.
And speaking of refining things, learning from experience is just key. Observing what worked, why it worked in past presentations, yours and others, to constantly improve.
Makes sense.
You've also got to bring creativity to the table. Sometimes a straight lecture works, sure, but often an interactive style is way more effective for engagement.
Yeah.
And then there's the internal part, self-confidence. The source identifies this as crucial. For some, this confidence might also connect to a reliance on what they see as divine guidance, which just highlights the powerful role a strong inner belief can play. These are really the pillars.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. So for you, the listener, whether you're pitching an idea to investors or, just sharing a new strategy with your team, it sounds like these aren't just nice to haves.
Not at all.
They're the bedrock, really,
Yeah.
the foundation for any presentation that's going to have an impact. Okay, so taking these foundational conditions, how do you then translate them into a compelling story? Because here's where it gets really interesting for me. Once you know what makes a good presentation good, how do you actually sit down, put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, and design something effective?
Right.
Our source material lays out a pretty structured 7-step blueprint.
Exactly. This is where you move from the what to the how, theory to execution. The first step is to determine your purpose.
Seems obvious, but maybe isn't.
Well, it means having a specific measurable goal. Ask yourself, why am I actually doing this?
Yeah.
And why is the audience even here?
Correct.
That focus stops you from wandering off topic. Next, you need to study your topic well. This means accurate, up-to-date, diverse information. But crucially, it also means understanding what your audience already knows.
Ah, okay.
What's genuinely new to them, and making sure you use language, terminology they'll actually grasp. No jargon unless they get it. From there, you prepare your main elements. You look at all your info and you distill it. Boil it down to the key points that really matter to this audience.
So cutting stuff out.
Absolutely. Leave out anything they already know, irrelevant data, unnecessary details. A helpful guideline here is aiming for maybe 15 to 20 minutes for the main presentation, plus time for questions, of course.
Okay.
Then you outline your presentation. Standard structure usually works best. Introduction, the main content broken into main and subtopics, and a conclusion.
Classic structure.
Exactly. And that intro needs to be strong. Maybe a compelling story, a provocative question, a surprising stat, something to grab attention immediately.
Hook 'em early.
Hook 'em early. And your conclusion should wrap things up, summarize the key points, and sort of verify your goals were met. Finally, step 7 is choose your presentation design. PowerPoint's common, sure, but there are loads of other tools now that let you integrate video, audio, images really powerfully.
It sounds like a very disciplined approach, almost like, yeah, building with a blueprint. But I wonder, is there a danger of becoming too rigid, losing that spontaneity, especially for an entrepreneur who might need to pivot quickly sometimes?
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
But the structure isn't meant to be a straitjacket. It's a framework.
Okay.
It actually frees you up because you know where you're going. For you, the listener, this systematic approach really helps prevent that feeling of information overload. It ensures your message comes through clearly.
Right. So with all that meticulous prep done, the moment of truth arrives, the delivery itself. What does that look like when you're actually standing up there in front of an audience, taking all that planning and bringing it to life smoothly?
Yeah, delivery. It can be broken down into 3 main stages, really, each with its own focus. Stage 1 is the introduction.
Okay.
So this is where you smile, welcome everyone, briefly introduce yourself, give that general overview of your topic and goals, maybe list the elements you'll cover. Remember, this opening is your key. Your chance to grab their attention right away.
First impressions count.
Hugely. Stage 2 is the presentation body. Here, you're presenting your points clearly, backing them up with evidence, constantly watching the audience, seeing their reaction.
Reading the room.
Exactly. Reading the room. And transitioning smoothly between your topics. Successful delivery here is about consistency of ideas, that smooth flow, and using your body language effectively.
Okay.
Finally, stage 3 is the conclusion. Here, you give a simple summary, thank the audience, make sure you allow ample time for questions, interventions, and give your contact info.
Right.
And here's an interesting insight from the source. A really strong conclusion can actually help smooth over any minor flaws that might have happened earlier in the presentation.
Huh. Interesting. Like finishing strong can make up for a wobble.
To some extent, yeah. It leaves the final positive impression.
Okay, those stages are great for structuring the flow. But beyond that, what are the specific actionable do-tools, the things that really help you deliver a memorable deep dive for your audience? Make it stick,
Absolutely. There are about 10 methods here for successful delivery that really elevate things. First, again, careful preparation. Allocating enough time, tailoring materials specifically for this audience.
Can't stress that enough, it seems.
Never. Second, practice and rehearsal. Invaluable. And it's not just about memorizing words.
Right.
It's about cutting unnecessary stuff, managing your time better, spotting weaknesses before you're live, overcoming nerves, boosting confidence, mastering your tools, your clicker, whatever.
Yeah.
Practicing in front of people you trust, family, friends, they can give you honest feedback. Third, think about appropriate attire. Sounds basic, but wear something comfortable, suitable for the occasion, that fits the community standards. You want to feel good, look professional.
Don't want your clothes distracting you or them.
Exactly. Fourth, use audience engagement tools. Start with something compelling. Maybe a relevant joke, a quick story, a surprising statistic, a direct question, or a powerful image. Images, especially, are incredibly effective for conveying complex ideas fast.
A picture's worth 1,000 words and all that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Fifth, always have a clear objective for the presentation itself and acts like a compass, right? Guiding both you and the audience.
Okay.
Sixth, have a clear framework for your content. Keep concepts simple, relevant. Avoid clutter. This prevents distraction.
Keep it clean.
Keep it clean. Seventh, vary audience interaction. Use examples, questions, stories, maybe some audiovisual effects. But caution here, don't overdo it. You can lose focus if it becomes gimmicky.
Right, balance.
Balance. Eighth, consciously vary your voice tone and body language. This keeps attention, adds impact. Don't be monotone or stand stock still. Ninth, always provide contact information, especially email. Let people follow up with questions later. And 10th, never ever forget to allocate time for Q&A. It shows you respect their input and are open to discussion.
You've given us an incredible roadmap for success there. Really useful stuff. But, sometimes knowing what not to do is just as important, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
What are the common pitfalls, the mistakes that can easily derail even a really well-prepared presentation?
Yeah, our source highlights 10 critical errors to avoid. First, excessive length. Trying to cram in too much information. Keep your content concise. Focus on the key messages the slides support.
Less is more.
Often, yes. Second, forgetting introductory elements, like the title slide, introducing yourself, or even just a simple, hello. It seems basic, but it happens.
Yeah.
Third, insufficient preparation. It shows immediately. You won't stick to time, the flow will be
It
choppy.
undermines confidence, too, I bet.
Yours and the audience is in you. Fourth, reading directly from slides. Ugh. Huge mistake.
The cardinal sin.
Pretty much. It just screams unprepared and bores the audience. They can read. Slides should be minimal visual aids. You explain the details, provide the context, make the connection. Fifth, small font size on your slides. If people are squinting, they're not listening. It impedes readability, causes distraction.
Right. Make it visible from the back?
Absolutely. Sixth, rushing and speaking too fast leads to distraction, poor comprehension. The cure: more practice, get comfortable with the timing.
Oh, yeah.
Seventh, using incomprehensible terminology, especially scientific or complex terms, without simplifying them or explaining them for this audience. Know who you're talking to.
Don't assume knowledge.
Never assume. Eighth, overcrowded slides. The source mentions the 7x7 rule. Maybe no more than 7 lines per slide, 7 words per line. It's a guideline, not rigid, but the principle is sound.
Why is that so important?
It's about cognitive load. If your audience is forced to read a wall of text, they stop listening to you. Slides should be visual aids, prompts, not a script or a document.
Got it. Keep it scannable.
Exactly. Ninth, avoiding eye contact. Makes you look nervous or disconnected. Practice helps maintain that visual connection, gauge reactions, build rapport.
Look at people.
Yes. And 10th, improvisation without training. Look, spontaneity is good, but real confidence. That comes from good preparation and practice, not just trying to wing it.
Those pitfalls are stark reminders, aren't they? How easily a good idea can be undermined by poor delivery. It brings to mind that old saying, it's not just what you say, but how you say it. Is there one avoid that you think derails more presentations than any other?
Ooh, tough one.
Yeah.
Maybe reading from the slides?
Yeah.
Or insufficient prep, which leads to a lot of the others.
Yeah. For you, the listener, avoiding these missteps can seriously enhance your presentation's impact. Okay, so all that brilliant communication, those perfectly crafted presentations, they're incredibly powerful tools, but ultimately they're often designed to help you get the resources you need, right? To bring your vision to life.
Yeah.
And that brings us to maybe the most stark, vital reality check for any aspiring entrepreneur: financial preparedness. But before we dive deep into that, let's talk briefly about the elevator pitch, kind of a micro version of impactful communication.
Good idea.
What exactly is it, and why is it so vital for you, the learner, especially if you're thinking entrepreneurially?
The elevator pitch is, well, pretty much what it sounds like. It's a short, exciting summary of you or your idea.
Quick.
Very quick. Designed to be delivered in the time it takes for an elevator ride, typically 30 to 60 seconds, maybe 2 minutes max.
Okay.
It's for those chance encounters, You bump into someone important, maybe an investor, a potential partner, and you need to make an immediate, impactful impression.
Gotcha.
Its key characteristics: it has to be fast, unforgettable, persuasive, impactful. It needs to convey credibility and what marketers call a unique selling proposition, or USP.
Your special sauce.
Exactly. That distinctive thing that makes you, or your offer, stand out. And the potential here is huge. It could open doors to future opportunities from just a very brief chat. How do you prepare one? Well, first, identify what you offer. Products, services, your skills. You might even need a few versions for different situations.
Tailor it.
Definitely. Second, structure your speech. Simple structure. Greeting. Hello. Who are you? First name's usually fine unless your full name is the brand, or maybe it's unusual and you have a trick to make it memorable. Then clearly state what you provide, the service or skill that's relevant to that person.
Okay.
Third, write your marketing sentence. Aim for the best, shortest, most understandable phrasing possible. Polish it. Fourth, this is crucial.
Practice.
Practice again. Always practice.
Yeah.
It builds spontaneity, makes it sound natural, not rehearsed, and it helps you spot those opportunities to actually use it.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, the source had a great one. Ethrat Development Foundation helps startup companies by educating, guiding, and financing them to increase their chances of success. In fact, one startup we helped early on reached revenues of 80 million rials and went public.
Wow.
Right. The typical reaction is, amazing, how'd you do that? Or, wow, which company? It sparks interest immediately.
That's a really powerful example, shows the value of being concise and impactful. Makes you think, doesn't it, listener? How would you craft your own elevator pitch? Those guiding questions in the source defining your goal, intro, marketing message, practice, they seem incredibly valuable. So we've talked about communication power, right? From the full presentation down to the micro pitch. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, beyond the pitch, beyond the presentation, what's that crucial reality check every aspiring entrepreneur has to confront?
Yeah.
The source material gives us a stark but vital illumination on financial preparedness.
Financial stability is, look, it's undoubtedly a major challenge, especially at the start. You need to estimate all the costs. Launching, operating, office space, rent, supplies, marketing, legal fees, everything.
The whole shebang.
The whole shebang. And crucially, the advice from the source is take that total estimated amount and multiply it by 4.
4?
Yes, 4. The hard truth is unexpected costs always come up, always. And it's far, far better to be over-prepared. Think about, I don't know, sudden legal fees, tech upgrades you didn't foresee, supply chain costs jumping, things that can just drain a lean budget fast. And also, don't forget your personal expenses when you're estimating startup costs.
Ah, good point. Life goes on.
Exactly. Rent, food, gas, medical bills. They don't stop just because you started a business.
Right.
So after you estimate all those costs, business and personal, you set a proper project budget. And you figure out where the initial capital is coming from. Loans, partners, savings.
Right.
And here's that sobering statistic again, just to underscore the challenge. Over half of startups fail within their first 5 years. It's a common reality, not necessarily a personal failing, but it's something to be aware of.
Yeah. This really raises an important question for you, the listener, if you're considering this path. How do you realistically prepare for the worst case scenario? It's not fun to think about, but necessary.
It's absolutely vital. You need a worst-case scenario plan. What happens if you burn through all your savings? What if the business, the project, is nearing bankruptcy?
What does that plan look like?
It might mean having tiered emergency funds, not just for the business, but for your personal life, too.
Right.
It's about scenario planning. Like, if revenue drops 20% for 3 months straight,
Right.
what is our exact plan B?
Right.
Do we have a side hustle ready to activate? What costs can we slash immediately without totally crippling the business? It might mean needing to get a part-time or even full-time job again, adopting serious austerity measures, maybe changing your lifestyle significantly for a while.
Big adjustments.
Big adjustments. It takes time, often longer than you think, to achieve stable income from a new venture. And the source strongly advises thinking twice, maybe 3 times, before leaving a current stable job. The bottom line is, you need to be mentally and financially prepared for all possibilities. Hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Wow. This deep dive has covered so much ground, hasn't it? From, crafting those compelling presentations and mastering the quick power of the elevator pitch, all the way to understanding the critical, sometimes harsh financial realities of entrepreneurship. It really is a journey, isn't it? From that first spark of an idea to its potential execution in the real world.
And remember, knowledge like this is most valuable when it's actually understood and applied.
Right.
These insights hopefully offer a clearer pathway. They give you tangible strategies you can start using right away, whether you're just kicking things off or maybe looking to refine ventures you already have going.
So as you, our listener, reflect on everything we've discussed today, here's something to mull over. How will you take these strategies for clearer communication, for more robust financial planning, and apply them to transform your next big idea into a tangible reality, a reality that's ready for whatever challenges and hopefully successes it might bring?